Welcome to The Next Level, delivered by FedEx. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Alejandro Moreno, Steve Nicol and Craig Burley, as we focus on the Champions League final, which of course saw Manchester City beat Inter Milan by 1-0. Rodri's strike proving to be the difference between the two sides. Looking at it, not a classic, Craig, but City won't care.
No, they won't. Finally got the job done. They've played much better in this competition this year and previous years. As you can see, City dominated the game, but lots of chances for Inter.
Yeah, right.
And I suppose a little bit of luck on City's side in the end, but a real surprising performance, and in some ways a surprising team selection. With Kyle Walker left out, we wondered if there'd be any tinkering. Most of us thought the answer would be no, but I think Guardiola, again, just reshuffling that back line, a back line that's been excellent for them. Kyle Walker in the semi-final, 2 games against Vinicius Junior, particularly the second game, completely snuffs him out.
Yes.
One of the most dangerous players in world football. He's on the top of his game. He did have a back injury coming in, but I think he was over that. He was fully fit. And that was a surprise. But yeah, got the job done, and Inter made much more of a fight of it and a fist of it than I thought they would.
Was City tired? Was it the occasion? Why were they not anywhere near their best?
I think it's very difficult to put your finger on it. You know, when one or two players are not at their best, then maybe you can start thinking about, is it the occasion too much for them? But when you've got basically a team who, across the board, all look as though they're just having a bad day, it's hard to put your finger on it, because generally most of them had a bad day. I mean, I've never seen so many passes go astray from a City side. And the man that won the game for them, Rodri, that's probably the worst game I've ever seen him in a City jersey. But nobody cares because they won, and it's amazing. You know, by winning a game, you get away with things. And I think in some ways you can say that City, as bad as they were today, got away with it a little bit.
How good was the goal from Rodri?
Well, he takes it really well. And the play down the right-hand side, Akanji takes the space and Bernardo Silva runs in behind. They get a little fortunate because he's trying to cross the ball into a dangerous area, potentially trying to find Erling Haaland. There's a deflection that then falls into the path of Rodri. What he does really well is that he's following up the play. He knows now that the defenders are moving across the goal, and instead of trying to hit it through the crowd, he hits it around the defenders and essentially hits it back in the direction where the ball was coming from. Beautifully done in a moment of pressure. And as Stevie said, he hadn't been playing well. Manchester City hadn't been playing well. And so you must have felt like in that very moment, with so much time and space, is he thinking about it? Not at all. There was nothing about the pressure, nothing about the moment that was too big for Rodri. He finished the play well, 1-0, and it really was as good as it could have gotten for Manchester City, because otherwise the performance wasn't all that great. In fact, it was terrible.
Was Rodri man of the match?
No, I don't think so.
Who would you have given it to?
From a City perspective, I think Stones was better for long periods. Passed the ball better than anybody in the City side.
Yeah.
Took the ball in tight areas, and, you know, bearing in mind he's done it a lot this season, but he is effectively a centre-half. He's a defender. I thought he looked really, really comfortable in the ball, and once again was arguably City's best player.
He was everywhere, Stevie, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was pretty much doing everything. I mean, you're talking about dribbling as well. You know, passing it nice, cool and calm. Got any good defensive positions as well when he didn't have the ball at his feet. And then when he did, he really was the only one in a blue jersey that looked as though they were in control of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even a debate, is it? If you ask who the best City, it's clearly starting.
But I think it paints a clear picture of what the performance was like from Manchester City, that we're talking about John Stones doing well, dribbling with the ball, having to dribble so that he can get out of trouble because the passing game wasn't quite there. They were not completing passes, and you needed to find somebody who had a little bit of confidence, a little bit of composure, a little bit of leadership on the ball in that midfield area. And as John Stones stepped into that position, he was able to then find moments of transition or open passes or vertical passing. It wasn't happening naturally for Manchester City, but again, he was the one guy that you can highlight and say, you know what, at the very least, he was taking ownership on the moment, and let me see if I can resolve a problem.
This is, of course, the end of an era, because Ronaldo and Messi have dominated the Champions League when it comes to the best players for so long. Messi, of course, now heading to MLS. Leaves that door open for the next generation to come in. We asked you boys, who could fill that void when it comes to one of the best players in the Champions League next season. Kylian Mbappe, who was that? Was that you, Erling?
Yeah, that was me, and it was more so on the responsibility that now falls on the shoulders of Kylian Mbappe. Because, look, he signed a big deal with PSG. He's apparently making all the decisions. Now Messi's gone. Who knows what happens with Neymar? And all the expectations still remain with PSG. Well, okay, now it's your team, Kylian. Now there is no doubt as to whose team this is. So it is indeed your moment to take on that responsibility and carry the burden, I think, of having PSG be the team that I think we all expect them to be, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. They lack structure, they lack discipline, they lack identity. A new manager has to come in place, and still you have Kylian Mbappe. Now it's not so much about pointing the finger as to who's not doing the job. Now it becomes your responsibility.
You've gone for another attacker, Stevie, one who didn't have the best of games today. Erling
Not
Haaland.
good timing, Stephen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's kind of fallen flat a little. But other than the final, I mean, Haaland was brought into Manchester City to win the Champions League.
Right.
Now, albeit we're talking about they weren't at their best, and certainly he wasn't, but all that disappears because the trophy's going to be in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And so I think all you could do now is look forward to continued success for City in this competition, because they've kind of got the monkey off the back, and with this guy up front, I mean, look at the stats there: 11 games, 12 goals. Mm-hmm. I mean, an off day in the final, yes, but do you really think that there's any other defence in Europe that's going to stop him next season? I don't see it happening. The guy's been the Player of the Year in the Premier League, and I think we can look forward to the Champions League next year and him probably being the top scorer.
Craig, you've gone for a player who looks like he's on his way, obviously, to Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, I was third on the email, so I missed out on Mbappe and Haaland. I was a bit slow to the trigger there. But no, look, Bellingham's making this big move to Real Madrid. The pressure is cranked up. Dortmund, there is pressure, but if they don't win the league or have no success, they move on and they'll sell a few players. Now he's going to a club where, as you well know, if you don't have success, they move you out and find players that will bring that success. And so, for somebody who has been away from home in a different country since 16, playing in the Bundesliga as he has been, getting that experience, he's not even 20 yet, he's making a move to one of the most pressurised clubs in world football in Real Madrid, playing with some of the greatest players, and he's going to fit straight in. He's going to walk straight in, he's got that aura about him, he's got super confidence for a guy who's got so many games under his belt already. He scores goals, he's physical, he can tackle, he can defend, he's an all-round midfielder, and I don't think he's going to be in awe of moving to that club and playing at the Bernabeu, which a lot of players are, never mind young players. So I think Jude Bellingham has got the world at his feet. He's a regular for England, and I think what Real Madrid are going to see is an all-round dynamic goal-scoring powerhouse from the middle of the park.
It's going to be exciting to see all these youngsters shine next season in the Champions League. Craig, Stevie and Ali, thank you very much. That's the next level, delivered by FedEx.